Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Friday morning yoga church digital. We're so grateful that you could be with us this morning. Um, so we want to begin by just knowing where you are, who you are, and how you are as we begin our practice together. We'd love to just see your name, how you're doing. And later, after Karen leads us in the practice, there'll be a time of lifting up prayers. If you want to begin to post any prayers that you have, joys or concerns that you may want to lift up today, you can start to do that in the comment section as well. So welcome, everyone. Please share this with a friend, whether you're joining us live now on Friday mornings at 9 a.m. We know that many of you join throughout the week, but actually hundreds more of you participate later in the week and view this later. One of the great things about participating in this together digitally is that it can happen on your schedule when you're ready, when you have a moment in your life to pause and breathe and join us. So welcome, everyone. Yeah, please post in the comments where you are. Good morning, Jean. Good to see you from Lake Deaton. Where you are, who you are, and how you are. So this week is Holy Week. And for those of us that are in the Christian tradition, it's a week that we kind of follow in the footsteps of Jesus the last days of his life. So each day of the week, we kind of remember significant moments in the last days of Jesus' life leading up to the cross. And today in Christianity, we call this Good Friday. Now, we know that everybody who joins us here is not Christian, and that's fine. Whether you're Christian, non-Christian, never going to be a Christian, we just are grateful that you can join with us today. It's a spiritual community. It's open to everybody. So please know that. But on Good Friday, we look at the death of Jesus on the cross. And you may say, well, that's kind of weird. Why would we call something good about a human being mutilated, beaten, unrecognizable as a human being, and then placed on a cross? What's good about that? So I want to read this little brief passage of scripture. I also want to invite you that right after this, today, at 10 a.m., Pastor Eric on our team, he's going to be live at the Lowell Correctional Institute, where those who are awaiting execution spend their final days. Yes, Lisa, good morning to you from Hartford, Alabama. Good to see you. So Pastor Eric, 10 a.m., right after we finish Yoga Church today, he's going to be doing a little service and reflection live from the execution place. So making it real to us. Sometimes we have this idea of the cross, and maybe from a Mel Gibson movie or something. But this digital pilgrimage that we're doing Holy Week, we're asking, what would it look like if these events happened to Jesus today? And so Pastor Eric will be reflecting there from the prison where people are executed. And so the story goes like this. The religious leaders and the people, they converge around Jesus and they yell, crucify him, crucify him. And Pilate, who's kind of the Roman governor of this time, remember that the Jewish people are an oppressed people, and we have to read the stories of Jesus and the whole Bible really through the lens of the traumatized and the oppressed. They're not the ones in power. They're the ones under the heel of power. And they're shouting, crucify Jesus, take him away. And Pilate asks, well, why? Why crucify him? Why should I do this? And shall I crucify your king? Pilate asks. And they say, we have no king but Caesar. Now, this is an interestingly blasphemous statement because it would basically be like the people have sold themselves to the political powers. And they're basically saying, our allegiance is not to Yahweh, our God, our allegiance is to Caesar, and we have no king but Caesar. So go ahead and crucify this rebel rouser. And so they take Jesus to the cross. He carries his own cross to a hill called Golgotha. And there they were crucified with him, and Jesus in the middle. There's two criminals on each side of him. And they put a sign kind of mocking Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. And he hangs there. they divide his garments and cast lots. But I want to get to this piece. And as he's about to die in the final moments of his life, he says, "I'm thirsty." They give him some wine and vinegar up to his lips. And he says, "It is finished." And the Greek word there is tetelestai. It is finished. It is complete. And Jesus hangs his head and dies on a cross. Now you may say, what in the world is good about that? Well, what's good about it, my friends, is what's happening on that cross for those of us who are followers of Jesus, as we are beholding a crucified God, a God who loves us so much that he refuses to be separated from us. And so he puts on flesh to get to us, to show us how to be human beings made in the image of God, to show us how to love, to show us how to care for each other, to show us the nature and essence of God. And ultimately, the cross is the clearest statement about who God is in the history of the world. That this crucified God is showing us he's not a micromanaging Caesar kind of God who's reigning and orchestrating pain and chaos and micromanaging people's lives. He's a God who shows us that his omnipotent power is cruciform love. He's a God of vulnerability and witness. And somehow what he's doing on that cross is making a way for us to be healed. Making a way for us to be healed in our relationships with each other and with God. He's bridging that gap. And all the forces of evil and death and racism and imperialism and religious hypocrisy gather right there on the cross. And Jesus takes all of those forces of evil and death and brokenness in his own body, and he breaks those powers on the cross. He takes them in himself and breaks their power. The temple veil is torn, signifying now that we all have entrance to a direct access and relationship with God. That through the broken body of Jesus now, that we can find healing and wholeness and restoration. And that, friends, is good, isn't it? And that's why we call it Good Friday, because we see embodied on that cross the goodness of a God who is ultimately chesed, unfailing love, mercy to the thousandth generation. And so us weird Christians, those of us that are Christians in the group, that's why we call this thing Good Friday. And my hope is that as we lead ourselves, as Karen leads us in this practice today, maybe you have an intention, maybe you don't. I'm thinking maybe my intention today is, what does it mean when Jesus says over my life, it is finished? What are the things maybe that I'm still toying with or messing around with or hurts, habits, and hangups that Jesus has already healed and already offered me forgiveness and already said over my life, beloved, and it is finished. Maybe we all have some of those things in our life. And today is a really good day to reflect on the meaning of what Jesus is doing on that cross, to reflect on what God has called healed and finished in our life, and to receive that afresh for ourselves. So we're grateful for you joining with us today, and I'm going to turn it over to Karen now. And don't forget to join Pastor Eric 10 a.m. He'll be on live Facebook, YouTube, and in the Living Room Church. He'll be there at the prison giving a reflection.
Well, thank you, Michael. Welcome to yoga. Let us start with the heart of yoga, which is breath. Sit in your most comfortable position. Just close your eyes and begin to breathe. Just breathe in goodness and healing and forgiveness on this Good Friday. Let us just close our eyes and begin breath. An awareness of our breath. What's going on as we inhale, and what's going on as we exhale. And as you breathe and sit in your most comfortable position with your eyes closed, clear your mind of any negativity, any expectations. Just clear your mind of anything that's taking up too much space in your mind so that you can meditate and focus on an intention, or maybe just be in the moment. Whatever it is that will help you to bring healing into your mind, your body, and your spirit. On the next breath, let's open our eyes, sit nice and tall, take your arms out with your palms up. Inhale to float the hands up. Exhale, hands over heart center, and namaste. Inhale to float the hands up. We begin with big stretches, just pulling big breaths into our body, inhaling. And exhaling away any negativity, anything that's not good, so that we can have a time of peace and restoration as we go through our practice today. Remember that this is your practice and that you should only do what feels good for your body. So if I'm doing something that doesn't feel good for you for whatever reason, or maybe you just don't like what I'm doing, it's perfectly okay to do your own thing. This is a practice that should feel good, and you should not feel any pain or anything that doesn't feel right. So you are welcome to change whatever you need to change so that the practice feels good for you and for your body. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, one more big stretch, floating the fingertips all the way out as far as you can reach, floating them down to your mat. As we go into our side stretches, palm is up, reaching up for strength and over for flexibility, alternating side to side. One more big side stretch, only to float our hands down by our sides as we go into some shoulder shrugs with breath, just to release any tension in our upper back and neck. Inhale to shrug up and exhale to shrug down. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Next, we can take it into a shoulder roll to the back, nice and slow, and big shoulder rolls, keeping your heart and your gaze lifted as you roll your shoulders as big and slow as you can around to the back. Inhaling and exhaling with each shoulder roll. One more big shoulder roll. This time just leaving your shoulders down away from your ears as you grow as tall as you can through the crown of your head. And let your left earlobe fall towards your left shoulder with a heavy head. On the next breath, lifting your head back to the center as we let the right earlobe fall towards the right shoulder with a heavy head. Just stretching the side of the neck. Inhale on the exhale, going to bring your gaze back to the center. As we go on into a staff pose, we're just going to straighten our legs out in front of us. Point your toes up to the ceiling to ground your legs. Sit as tall as you can and you're in staff pose. Now, if you want to take it a little bit further, you can reach your hands up and then hinge 2 or 3 inches forward, pulling your belly into your spine and just feeling the energy flow through the fingertips and flow through the soles of the feet. And then maybe you take it a little bit farther. Be careful, it's contraindicated if you have any lower back issues to forward fold. But otherwise, begin your forward fold, reaching for your toes, letting your nose just float towards your knees. Maybe you bend your knees and then slowly begin to straighten them. And breathe 3 breaths and forward fold. On the next breath, let's go on and roll the spine up, articulating the spine, stacking 1 vertebra at a time. As we pull our left knee in, we're going to go into spinal rotation. Go on and take your right arm around the left knee to get even taller. And then take your left hand around to the back of the mat as you lift your heart and lift your gaze and breathe deep. On the next breath, let's slowly return back to the center and just drop that left knee down as we go into a half leg, half staff pose, floating the hands up. We're reaching up, hinging 2 or 3 inches, maybe staying there, or maybe forward fold. And breathe. 3 breaths here. Inhale, and on the exhale, slowly roll the spine up. We're just going to pull this right knee in and take your right foot on top of your left thigh or knee for half lotus pose. A full lotus, you'd go in and pull your other foot up on top. I'm just not that flexible, but maybe you are. And from here, we can take it a little bit deeper, taking our fingertips and just spiral walk them forward. Just walk as far and slow as you can with your fingers, as far as it feels good for your body. And then maybe drop your elbows, tuck your chin, and let the crown of your head just float towards your mat. On the next breath, slowly roll your spine back up, articulating it 1 vertebra on top of the other, back up to tall spine. Uncross the legs. Let's move into a seated butterfly. So the soles of the feet come together. If you have back issues, maybe push your feet away. It's all in what feels good for you. Grab hold of your ankles or your shins or your knees. Sit tall, pull your belly into your spine. Enjoy this stretch as you push your knees away from each other. Maybe you want to go a little bit deeper. You can hinge forward with a long spine and let your elbows float over your knees. Tuck your chin and let your nose just slowly float toward your toes. And breathe. On the next breath, slowly roll the spine up nice and slow, articulating the spine again. This time we're going to take our left leg out long. Lift up your right knee as we go into spinal rotation on the right. We'll take our left arm around that right knee only to get taller. As you take your right hand around to the back of the mat, rotating to the right, lifting your heart, lifting your gaze, and breathing deep. On the next breath, slowly come back around to the center as you drop that right knee down. For half staff pose, floating the fingertips up, reaching high, maybe staying here, maybe hinging and staying here, pulling the belly into the spine, or maybe going into the forward fold, reaching for the sides of your feet or your toes as your nose floats towards your knee. And breathe 3 breaths here. On the next breath, come on back to tall spine. And we're going to go into half lotus on this side. So just going to pull that left knee, pick up your left foot and put it on top of your right thigh. I'm going to drop down that left knee. Maybe you stay here. Maybe that's enough. Maybe you spider walk your fingers away from your body. Slowly letting the elbows come down, tucking your chin and letting your nose or your forehead or the crown of your head just float towards the mat. On the next breath, going to come back up to tall spine, uncross the legs. We're going to transition onto our hands and knees, taking our knees to the back and your hands to the front of your mat. Your wrists should be underneath your shoulders. Your hands and your knees and feet are all in alignment. Let's move into a kneeling cat and cow. Tuck your chin around your back, pulling your belly into your spine and separating your shoulder blades. This is cat pose. And then as we move into cow pose, soften the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders. As the belly falls towards the earth, lift your heart, lift your gaze, and inhale. Exhale into cat. Inhale into cow. And exhale. And inhale. Exhale. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat and hold your cat pose. Keep your eyes on your knees or your belly as we go into big hip circles, letting your hips sway out to the left, then down over the left heel, slow big circles over the right heel to the right and back to the center, and then switch the direction of your hip circles. Go slow and go big. Inhale and exhale. And two more. Inhale and exhale. And one more. Inhale and exhale. From here, we're going to move into dancing lines. So we're going to float your left arm out and up, flipping your left pinky up, bringing your left pinky up to the ceiling. We're going to do those hip circles again, but we're going to add an arm circle. So take that left pinky to the left ankle as your hips go to the left. And just circle the hips as you circle your arm, big, slow dancing lines to release any tension in the body. Let your breath guide your movement. Slow, big dancing lines, soft and gentle on the body. Inhaling and exhaling. On the next arm circle, let's just leave the pinky up as high as you can reach, opening up to the left side of your body as you gaze up to your top hand. As we begin to thread the needle, you'll drop that left hand under your heart and through your arm, dropping the ear and the shoulder to the mat, maybe taking your right hand and putting it on the small of your back. On the next breath, come back to your hands and knees. As we do our dancing lines on the other side, floating your right arm out and up. Right pinky comes up to the ceiling, reaching as high as you can. And then as you take your right pinky towards your right ankle, begin your hip circles, big and slow. Releasing any tension in your body. So the bigger the circles, the bigger the release of tension. Use your breath to guide your movement. Big, big, big breath. One more big arm circle, only to leave that right pinky up towards the ceiling. Open up through the right side of the body by looking up. And then thread the needle, taking your hand through your arm, dropping your ear, dropping your shoulder, maybe picking up your left hand and putting it on the small of your back. And breathe. On the next breath, come back to your hands and knees. As we drop into an extended child's pose, dropping your buttocks over your heels, uncurl the toes. Extend your arms out as long as you can. Drop your elbows and drop your forehead to the mat and breathe. Breathe 3 breaths in extended child's pose. We're going to move into some vinyasas, and I'm going to start with a modified vinyasa to begin. So those of you that prefer modified vinyasa, then you will know what to do. It will progress from there. So from child's pose, extend it, come up onto your knees, and drop into a bent knee plank. So you just press your hips and chest forward, your knees are down here. And you're holding your plank, you're pulling your belly into your spine. And then we slowly bend our elbows and drop our chest all the way down, squeeze your elbows in. Fingertips should be in alignment with your shoulders. And then we're going to go into Cobra pose. Squeeze your elbows in. Know that the lower disc in your back will compress. So if you have lower back issues, you just lift an inch or two. Otherwise, lift only as high as it feels good for your body in your Cobra pose. So that is our modified vinyasa. We're going to take it up and progress it by going into downward dog from our child's pose. But you're welcome to stay in child's pose and continue as the one we just did. So lifting up into downward dog and pedaling your feet, left heel, left, right. Both heels press down for a nice stretch of the calves and the backs of the legs. And then lifting your heels as high as you can so that you can drop into the proper alignment of a plank. With your wrist under your shoulders, pulling your belly into your spine. Try not to let your hips sag. It'd be better to pike up, but ideally you want a straight body like a plank, a board. And breathe. And then from here we can drop into Cobra, or maybe you prefer Chaturanga. Squeeze your elbows under your rib cage and hover your body, holding your body up, and breathe. From there, you can drop into Cobra, back into extended child's pose. Maybe you stay in the child's pose or join me in downward dog, pedaling the heels, left, right, both heels press down. Lift the heels up, come back into your plank. Maybe you go into a side plank here, or maybe you have your knee down. Remember, you can modify where you need to, and breathe. Go in and windmill your top hand down if you're in side plank. Next, you can go back to Cobra, or maybe you join me for up dog. Up dog, you just uncurl the toes and float the hips towards the mat, hovering your body, gazing up, lifting your heart, lifting your gaze. And then back into child's pose, one more vinyasa. Maybe you stay in child's pose, maybe you join me in downward dog, pedaling the heels, left heel, left, right, both heels press down. Heels come up to drop back into your plank, wherever that may be. Maybe you go into a side plank. Maybe you drop your knee. Maybe you just hold your side plank. We're going to have an option on our next move. So think about whether you want to do Cobra, Chaturanga, or up dog. Windmill your top hand down and go into whatever you prefer. I'm going to go into Chaturanga and then into Cobra. And breathe. Two more breaths wherever you are. Inhale and exhale. Come on all the way back to child's pose. We're going to come up to standing. I like to do it from downward dog, but if you have your own method of coming up to standing in a forward fold, you can either step forward or hop forward. If you hop forward, just go on and hang down there. If you step forward, hang down there. If you just come up to standing, begin to forward fold with the crown of the head facing the toes, letting the arms hang down just like a rag doll. And then maybe your knees are bent. Maybe you slowly straighten them a little or a lot. And breathe. 3 breaths here. Go in and soften your knees, bend them as we move into yoga chair pose. Float the arms, the hands, and the gaze all the way up towards the ceiling, reaching as high as you can, pulling your belly into your spine, pretending you're sitting in a chair, maybe a bar stool. Make sure you see your toenails. That's just for the safety of the knees, so we don't want our knees hanging over our toes. Inhale and exhale. 3 more breaths here. Inhale and exhale, stand up tall, reach up high, circle your arms all the way around until your hands are over your heart center. And let us go into mountain pose here. So drop your hands down, close your eyes, palms are forward. And mountain pose is all about grounding into the earth. So pressing the soles of the feet into your mat and breathing with your eyes closed unless you feel like you're going to fall or something, then open your eyes. Eyes closed, pressing the soles of the feet into the earth, grounding into the earth, and growing tall and strong like a mountain. Let us breathe. Inhale and exhale. Open your eyes and bring your hands over heart center. As we move into tree pose, find a spot on the wall, something that's not moving, and ground your standing leg foot into the mat, which will be your right leg. As you lift up your left heel, maybe you lift up your left foot, maybe not. Maybe you put the foot to the inside of the thigh. This is your tree pose. Let us breathe 5 breaths in tree pose. Inhale, on the exhale, go on and release, drop your hands, do some shoulder rolls to the back. As we move into tree pose on the other side, you can keep your hands over your heart, or maybe you change your arm position, because remember, this is your practice, it's your tree, so maybe you're just a tall tree, maybe you have lots of branches, fat bush, whatever kind of tree you would like to be today. Move your arms in that position as you float your foot up unless you keep your toe on the floor, and breathe. 5 breaths here. Inhale on the exhale, going to float the hands down. Let's separate our feet nice and wide. Feet are parallel. Float your arms out into a T. This is standing straddle split. And just hinge over into our good morning pose. So you only hinge halfway down. You can stay there or join me for revolving triangle, dropping your left fingertips or hands under your heart as your right hand reaches up to the ceiling. Inhale. On the exhale, come back into your good morning pose, only to switch sides, dropping the right hand or fingertips under the heart as your left hand and gaze goes up. Inhale and exhale. Come back to good morning pose and hinge back up to standing straddle split. As we move into our warrior series, we're going to turn that right foot out, bending the right knee. Long arms, warrior 2. Peaceful warrior, drop the back hand, flip the front palm, and then reach up along with your gaze up towards your lifted hand. Peaceful Warrior. And breathe. And if you have an intention today, this is where you would meditate or think about that intention. Or maybe you just take the time to just be still in your pose. On the next breath, come back into Warrior Two, only to transition into side angle, dropping the right elbow to the right thigh, floating your back hand up or maybe even over. It's up to you, whatever feels good for your body. Maybe you go into an extended side angle. Gaze down to the big toe to protect the neck, or up to the top hand. Either way works, protecting the neck. We're going to windmill that top hand down and turn that left foot to the right, dropping your left knee, uncurling your left toes. You're now in a kneeling crescent lunge as you float your hands all the way up. And then maybe you want more, you can drop that left hand and just rotate your gaze or twist to the right. Windmill that right hand down to the inside of that right foot, and then maybe you drop to your elbows or not. And breathe. Go on and straddle that right foot as you curl your left toes under, come up to a deep runner's lunge, and then slowly float your hands up into crescent lunge. And then turn that left foot out to the side and you're in Warrior One. And then back to Warrior Two. Go on and turn the right foot forward, you're back into standing straddle split. Let us do our Warrior series on the other side, turning the left foot out and bending the left knee. Warrior Two. And then Peaceful Warrior, dropping the back hand, flipping the front palm up and reaching up for Peaceful Warrior. Maybe even towards the back wall. Gaze up and breathe. Coming back into Warrior Two, only to drop into side angle, dropping that left elbow onto that left thigh, reaching your back arm up or over. Maybe you go into extended side angle. Gaze down to your big toe and breathe. As we windmill that top hand down, we turn our right foot to the left so that you're in a deep runner's lunge, only to drop that back knee down and curl the back toes, and then go on and float the hands up into a kneeling crescent lunge where maybe you stay, maybe you add the twist, dropping the right hand and rotating up towards the left hand, reaching up to the ceiling. Go on and windmill that top hand down to the inside of your left ankle. Maybe you drop to your elbows here or not. And breathe. Go on and straddle that left foot. Curl your right toes under, only to lift that right knee into a deep runner's lunge as you slowly come up into crescent lunge. Reach your arms as high as you can. Go on and turn that back foot out to the side. You're in Warrior One. Drop your arms open, Warrior Two. Turn your left foot and your gaze forward back to standing straddle split. Bring your arms into goalpost arms and sit back into a pretend chair or squat. Goddess pose, put your belly into your spine. And then we can begin our cactus claps here. Clap as your elbows and palms come together, and then open your heart. Adding your breath, inhale. And exhale. Shh. Inhale. And exhale. Open. Reach nice and high as we move into some moonflowers. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And a couple of sunflowers. Inhale and exhale. Shh. And one more sunflower. Inhale. Exhale, hands over heart center. Take the heels in, big toes in, heels. And for those of you that like a deep runner squat, you can drop right down into your squat here, or maybe you just stay up here. So it's up to you, either a little squat or a big squat. If you're in the deep squat, you want to drop your hands, swing your heels out, and roll up one vertebra at a time. Inhale, bring in the hands up, hands over heart center. Come to the front of your mat as we begin our Swan Dive to come back down to our mat. So Swan Dives are fun, and it's all about breathing and letting your breath guide your movement. Soft knees. Inhale to float the hands up. As you Swan Dive, your hips hinge to the back. Your hands come in front of your knees or your ankles. Flip your palms. Inhale as though you're taking a big load of energy or love or healing into your heart, into your being. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And one more. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Let's go into a standing forward fold, reaching the fingertips up to the ceiling, fold, and then step back onto your hands and knees. And then we're going to go into a kneeling pigeon. So you will slide your right leg back. You're kind of sitting on your left heel. If you want to go a little bit farther, you can lift the hips and wiggle that left foot from underneath your body. Push your right foot back just a little bit more, and then go on and drop down to your elbows. Maybe you make a pillow for your forehead, one fist on top of the other, or one hand on top of the other, and breathe. You're going to lift your head, straighten your arms, come back to your hands and knees as we switch sides. Going to take that right knee under the chest, push your left foot back. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you lift your hips and wiggle the foot from underneath the body to the other side of the mat, pushing that back foot even farther back. Maybe you stay here, maybe you drop down. And breathe. On the next breath, going to lift the head, straighten the arms. We're just going to pull this back leg forward so both feet are out in front. Taking your hands behind your knees, pulling your heels in, and rolling past your tailbone as we prepare for boat pose. So in boat pose, we can lift our legs up into tabletop. Maybe you drop your hands for balance. Maybe you reach your arms up for more. Maybe you straighten your legs for a full boat pose and breathe. 2 more breaths in your boat pose. Inhale and exhale, bend the knees, come back forward. Stretch those posture muscles, only to roll back once again past the tailbone. We're going to roll onto our backs here by lifting our feet and rolling down one vertebra at a time. If you need support for your neck, maybe you just roll your mat, make a little pillow for your head. Maybe you already have one wherever you are. But go on and roll past that tailbone, lift the feet, and then how slow can you roll down? Look at your belly and roll one vertebra at a time down. Go on and pull your knees into your chest and gently rock them side to side. As we go into our final relaxation, final Savasana, First, let's take our legs up the wall, letting our legs be weightless while our body is grounded. So close your eyes here. Let your legs be weightless. Let your body be grounded and breathe. On the next breath, go on and float the soles of the feet down. Let your feet come down and be about shoulder width apart as you take your arms out into a T, palms up. Let both knees fall to the floor on the left and breathe. Inhale. And exhale, come back to the center, only to let the knees fall to the floor on the other side. Inhale. And exhale. And then next, as we move into final Savasana, final relaxation, the close of our practice, you can either straighten your legs or you can bring your legs into supine butterfly, soles of the feet together, pressing the lower back into the mat and belly into the spine. Or maybe you've straightened your legs. Close your eyes, palms are up, and just be. Just breathe here. And just melt into your mat wherever you are. And take this time to just be still, to be in the moment. So the more that you can relax here and your final Savasana, the more energy that will flow through your body, the more healing that you will feel in your mind, your body, and your spirit. So just invite that healing with each inhale. And with each exhale, just let go of what is finished in your life. What it is that you don't want to do any longer that hurts you or hurts others, whatever it may be. With each exhale, just exhale it away. I encourage you to move into a purifying breath here. Inhaling as deep as you can in through the nose, a very long inhale, followed by an even longer exhale, exhaling through the mouth, and just exhaling all the old air, all the negative energy out with each exhale. Inhale in through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And continue to breathe as we continue to relax our body, relaxing our feet, our toes, the balls of our feet, our heels, our ankles, our legs behind our knees, relaxing our buttocks and our spine, our lower back, middle back and upper back, shoulders and arms, the insides of your elbows, the insides of your wrists, the palms of your hands, your fingers, your thumbs, even your hip bones and your pelvis, relax them. And you relax your belly and your rib cage, your chest, your neck, your scalp, and all the muscles in your face, relax them. Relax your forehead and your eyebrows, your eyelids, even your cheekbones, your nose, your chin, your ears, even your teeth. Maybe unclench your teeth, let them part. Let your tongue fall away from your teeth, relax your lips, and just be. Just be in the moment. Take this time for yourself. With your eyes closed in this most relaxed state, open your hearts and let them be filled with love. Love of yourself and love of others. May your hearts be filled with grace and gratitude and peace. And may you just breathe in healing into your whole body. Maybe it's healing of the mind, something going on mentally, emotionally. Maybe it's the body. Maybe it's your spirit. Maybe you've been down. Open up your hearts and just receive that healing. Maybe it's forgiveness. Maybe you need to forgive yourself, or maybe forgive someone else. On the next breath, maybe roll over into a fetal position to represent renewal, rebirth, as we slowly come back to a seated position to close our practice and to pray for each other. So make your way up to that comfortable seated position the way you began your practice today. As we just bow our heads, close our eyes, and begin to pray for each other. So if you have a prayer request, maybe you jot it down in the notes. Maybe you just yell it out in the room where you are. Maybe you just yell it silently in your mind. Let us lift each other up in prayer today. I lift up those that are being executed today at the Laurel prison. Oh Lord, just please be with them. Let them turn to you today. So that they may be with you tonight. On the next breath, let's open our eyes, sit tall with your arms out, with your palms up, and put the hands up. Exhale, hands over heart center, and peace be with you. Namaste. Let us wait for Pastor Mike to close us out with prayer.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Karen. Everybody out there, can we make some noise, some likes, loves, and appreciation for Karen for giving us her time to lead us today in this healing practice? Amen. So a couple quick things, and then we'll just close with the Lord's Prayer. Today at Lake Deaton United Methodist Church, if you have a hurt, a habit, or a hang-up, anybody have any of those? Oh, good. That means you're human. You can join us tonight, 5:30. I'll be teaching tonight. Celebrate Recovery at Lake Deaton and the Villages. We'd love to have you for that. It's a community of people trying to find healing, just like we're doing here in the yoga practice. Also, Karen leads yoga physically in person at the Lake Deaton campus on Mondays. And so you can always join her there if you're comfortable being back in person. And then I did also want to lift up this Sunday. Thank you, Patty. Yes, Karen, you're getting thanks for a start to a wonderful day. Also, Easter services, obviously. Maybe you've never been to church before and you're thinking, hey, Easter might be a good time to try that. Lake Deaton's got multiple services. Wildwood at 9 a.m., we're moving back into our sanctuary for the first time in over a year. At St. Mark's United Methodist Church, I know some of you joined us from Ocala. We're moving back into the sanctuary for the first time in over a year. And at St. Mark's, we're going to have multiple baptisms. These are people who come to faith, and they're receiving God's grace for the first time through the act of baptism. So it's going to be a beautiful day all the way around. if you have any questions about any of that, you can always hit me up. And then obviously in the Living Room Church, we'll have all of our normal digital worship experiences as well. So we're going to close with the Lord's Prayer. Don't freak out if you're not a Christian. Anybody can pray this prayer. It's a prayer to our Creator, our higher power, whatever that is, but it's kind of a universal prayer of humanity. And so let's pray this together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Amen. Hey, thanks everybody. We'll be here next week, and jump in with Pastor Eric at 10 a.m. live from the prison. Bye, everyone.